The last several years have seen some huge innovations in VR. Games like Half-Life Alyx have shown the potential for VR to deliver new types of gaming experiences that simply aren't possible on traditional screens. While on the hardware side, we've seen the rise of relatively affordable standalone headsets like the MetaQuest and Pico Neo lines. This next year will see the arrival of both the MetaQuest 3 and the Apple Vision Pro, and right now, despite the oft-prophesized death of VR, the industry looks to be in better shape than it's been in years. While new headsets continue to grab headlines and convince enthusiasts like myself to keep opening up their wallets, the number of high-quality PC VR games that actually take advantage of that high-priced hardware remains disappointingly low. But a new mod set to release later this year has the potential to change all of that, opening the doors for PC VR gamers to revisit some of their favorite titles from the past and ensuring a steady stream of games for years to come. Hi, I'm Christopher, this is the Nerd Corner, and here's why PC VR gaming is about to change forever. Now, before we get started, don't forget to click like and hit that subscribe button to keep up to date with all my latest videos. One of the first things I did after getting my first VR headset back in 2015 was try out a mod that let me play Half-Life 2 in VR. While the wow factor of being able to dive back into City 17 was undeniable, the blurry screens of the Oculus DK2 combined with a mouse and keyboard control scheme that made aiming a chore led to a less than ideal experience. The poor frame rates from my underpowered PC at the time probably didn't help matters either. The VR modding scene continued to grow over the years though, with projects like the brilliant and terrifying Mother VR mod for Alien Isolation showing that it was possible to bring flat-screen titles into VR without sacrificing the quality of the original game. If you're a PC VR player who's tinkered with modding at all, then you're probably already familiar with Praydog's excellent RE framework mods. Originally released in 2019 to add basic VR support to the Resident Evil 2 remake, Praydog's mods now let players enjoy all of the Resident Evil remakes along with Devil May Cry 5 and Monster Hunter Rise in VR, and even has full motion controls for Resident Evil 7 and 8. As someone who held off on playing Resident Evil 7 for years in hopes that VR support would eventually come to PC, Praydog's mods were a lifesaver for me. This was just the beginning of the story though, because Praydog's next mod is going to have a reach that goes far beyond just a few key titles. Rather than focusing on only a small handful of games, Praydog's upcoming UEVR mod promises to bring VR support to almost any game made using Epic's Unreal Engine 4 and 5. Revealed in late 2022 by the Flat2VR Twitter account, they are one of the best Twitter accounts for keeping up with the VR modding scene, hands down. I definitely recommend you give them a follow. The debut trailer for Praydog's mod showed a variety of Unreal Engine games running in VR while listing off the mod's many features. With the ability to work with nearly any Unreal Engine 4 or 5 title, Praydog's UEVR mod has the potential to be a game changer for PC VR. Built on work started by modder The New Java Man, the free, open-source mod will work with practically any game built on Unreal Engine 4 or 5, and it provides a base level of support that other modders can then build on top of. That's not to say that base level is bare bones by any means though. Even in its pre-release state, the UEVR mod already includes many features missing from some big-budget VR games. Universal features of the mod include snap turning and teleportation, for players who can't stomach smooth motion, 3 degree of freedom motion controls, head aiming and two-handed weapon support, and even D-pad and button emulation with motion controllers. As someone who thinks third-person games are a completely underappreciated genre in 3D, I'm really looking forward to the mod because apparently support for those is fantastic with it. Praydog's UEVR mod can also use 3 different rendering methods to display games on your headset, depending on the title, with synced sequential and alternate eye rendering support, ensuring that even games incapable of running in native stereo can still be played in VR. Modders will also have the ability to add additional functionality to games using Praydog's work as a base. This opens the door to things like adding full 6 degree of freedom support and motion controls to games. Since the mod can be used with practically anything running on the Unreal Engine, it also opens the door to some unique entertainment and educational experiences, like being able to walk through a detailed recreation of the Titanic. and with support not only for the massive catalog of games built on Epic's Unreal Engine 4, but also the new Unreal Engine 5, Praydog's UEVR mod promises to drastically increase the number of games that can be played in VR when it releases sometime later this year. Praydog's mod isn't without controversy though. Denny Unger, the CEO of Pistol Whip developer Cloudhead Games, took to Twitter late last year to claim that it would be, quote, poison to the industry. Unger's complaints centered around the fact that, at a time when many consumers are still wrapping their heads around the concept of VR, modded flat-screen titles may make for a poor onboarding experience for new users, and potentially scare them off the medium for good. These complaints aren't without merit, and Unger stresses the importance of making a good first impression with users in order for the industry to continue to grow. He also references his own bad experiences with VR mods in the past, saying that even as an experienced VR user, every mod he's tried has made him feel sick. It's not all gloom and doom though. Unger does concede that interest in projects like the UEVR mod could potentially spur developers to devote more time and resources into developing native AAA VR games. Assuming Praydog's UEVR mod can live up to the hype surrounding it, and at this point I don't really have any reason to think it won't, then I really do believe that we're in for a very exciting time in the PC VR space. There are so many incredible games that have already been released on Unreal Engine 4 in the 11 years since it first debuted, and now PC VR players are going to have the chance to experience them in an entirely new way. And while I don't think that every game will benefit from VR, as much as I love my VR games, I think there are some titles that are still always going to be better on a flat screen. Let me know if you disagree down in the comments. I think that there are a huge number of titles that have the potential to gain an entirely new audience with VR support. Personally, I'm looking forward to diving into the Geiger-inspired weirdness of Scorn after deciding to hold off on playing it until the UEVR mod released. Now, even though first-person titles are likely to be the main draw for a lot of people watching this video, like I mentioned earlier, what I'm really excited about is being able to finally dive into some third-person games in VR, since there are so few native titles released these days. And while I understand the concerns of Cloudhead's CEO and some other developers when it comes to modded flat-screen titles possibly providing a less than ideal experience for first-time VR users, I also think these worries may be a bit overblown. While it's probably true that a modded flat-screen title isn't going to provide as polished of an experience for someone new to VR as something built for the platform from the ground up, new VR users also aren't really the target audience for a mod that'll require at least some level of technical know-how to get up and running. Most first-time VR users are still probably going to be playing something like Beat Saber or Gorilla Tag, and Praydog's UEVR mod isn't going to change that. What it could do, though, is get VR users whose headsets have been collecting dust due to a lack of new games to play to pick it back up and possibly even buy a few new titles to try it out with. Now, this won't be enough to stop the continuous stream of headlines proclaiming the death of VR, but it could show developers that there is still an audience out there ready and willing to pay for high-quality VR experiences, whether that's with a modded classic or a new AAA release. Tapping into that market could pay dividends, not just for developers, but for VR players as well. So, I hope all of that did a good job of explaining why Praydog's UEVR mod has the potential to be one of the best things to happen to PC VR gamers in years. I'll have links down below to the videos I featured, as well as some places where you can get more information about the current state of the project. Now, if you liked the video, hit like and let me know down in the comments what VR games you've been playing lately, and which Unreal Engine games you're looking forward to trying out whenever Praydog's mod releases. Personally, I look forward to hopping into Returnal and dying in all sorts of new and exciting ways in VR. Thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your morning, your evening, your afternoon, whatever time it is, wherever you are. I know you have a lot of choices on how you spend that time, so I really do appreciate you spending some of it here with me in the Nerd Corner. See you soon.